When Casey was just 7 years old, he made a peculiar promise to his grandpa Charles. But as the years went by, the elderly man forgot all about the young boy's pledge. Then, 20 years later, Casey arrived at Charles' door to make good on his word. By all accounts, Charles Schafer had lived an interesting life. He was born in South Indiana in 1926 and later went on to serve his country during the Second World War. Upon his return home, Charles secured a job at the Colgate plant in Clarksville, Tennessee. However, one achievement Charles was most proud of was his marriage to wife Shirley. Incredibly, the couple were married for 65 years before Shirley passed away in 2015. In all that time, they adored each other and, thanks to their union, were at the heart of a loving family. In fact, the couple were particularly close to their grandson, Casey. Casey's parents divorced when he was very young, and as a result, his mother returned home to her own mother and father. Casey had therefore lived with Charles and Shirley since he was a little boy. And given that Charles was a retiree, he and Casey spent a lot of time together. He was always getting into things, crawling around, Charles recalled in an interview with WDRB in May of 2017. He was rambunctious, but he was a good old boy, good kid. Over the years, Charles and Casey enjoyed all the things that people usually consider to be father-son activities. Charles taught his grandson how to throw baseballs, for example. Then, when the time came, he was proud to attend every game Casey played in. Once he was an adult, Casey reflected that his relationship with Charles was not your everyday grandfather-grandson bond. In May of 2017, he told ABC News that Charles was his best friend. Casey added, "I spent so much time with him, he pretty much modeled me into the man I am today." So Casey was always thinking of ways to show his grandfather just how much he meant to him. In fact, when he was 7 years old, Casey promised to make Charles the best man at his wedding. However, the veteran took the child's pledge with a pinch of salt. "I didn't think he'd want an old man up there," Charles later admitted. In time, though, he would find out that he was wrong to doubt his grandson, because when Casey met his dream girl, it didn't take long for him to make good on his promise. Casey had been dating his girlfriend, Sarah, for a matter of months when he first introduced her to Charles. Understandably, it was a make-or-break kind of meeting for the young couple. Since Casey thought so highly of his grandfather, Sarah was eager for him to like her. Thankfully, the meeting went well. In May of 2017, Sarah described Charles as a very sweet, very outgoing, and very mobile. In return, Charles told ABC News that Sarah was a wonderful girl. It's safe to say then that the pair hit it off. So Charles was delighted when Casey told him he was planning to ask Sarah to marry him. At the time, Casey had invited his grandfather to come and help him pick out a coffee maker. But while they were shopping, they dropped by a jewelry store and chose an engagement ring instead. When Casey later popped the question, Sarah didn't think twice about accepting. And that's when Casey reiterated his intention to have his 90-year-old grandfather be his best man. And Sarah couldn't have been more proud of her future husband. Before we even talked about getting engaged, he told me he wanted his grandpa to be his best man. I just thought, oh, he's kidding, Sarah revealed to Inside Edition. But she added when Casey went to ask Charles if he would do the honors, she thought it was precious. However, even though Casey had been talking about it for 2 decades, Charles was still shocked when Casey asked him to be his best man for real. In fact, it was only when they went for their tuxedo fittings that the grandfather realized his grandson was serious. "I just thought he was daydreaming, talking. I didn't pay much attention to it," Charles explained to WDRB. Then one day he said we were going to get a fitting. He picked me up and there I was putting on a tux. It was then that the panic started to set in. Charles had been best man on a number of occasions before, of course, but that was when he was still in his relative youth. "I was wondering if I could keep up with them boys," he admitted to ABC News. However, he needn't have worried. On the day, he stood proudly by his grandson's side as both men looked dapper in matching attire. And even at the grand old age of 90, Charles carried out his best man responsibilities with the utmost enthusiasm. And in another nod to his grandfather, Casey married Sarah on April 15th, the same date Charles wed his beloved Shirley. It just happened to be on a Saturday as well, Casey revealed to WBRD, so it worked out perfect, like it was meant to be. Fortunately for Casey and Sarah too, it seems that Charles might be something of a good luck charm when it comes to weddings. "I was in 8 weddings before, and 6 of them I was the best man," he revealed to ABC News. "When I wasn't the best man, they got divorced. But every one of the 6 when I was the best man, they were together till they died." Check out these other videos from Let Me Know. If you haven't made the move to subscribe to our channel, all you need to do is click on that red subscribe button. Thank you for watching.